Hello.
Hi.
We have not done this in a while.
We haven't.
So we have not spoken publicly for the better part of the last 2 years. And it's not because we haven't had anything to say,
Right.
because Lord knows we have. But it just felt like every time we went to make a video like this, we wanted to speak, something was telling us.
For nearly 2 years, Justin Baldoni stayed completely silent while one of Hollywood's biggest controversies continued to dominate headlines. But now, after months of legal battles, public accusations, and intense online debate, he and his wife, Emily Baldoni, have finally decided to speak. In a rare emotional video, Justin admitted there were many moments when they wanted to explain their side of the story, but something kept telling them to wait. According to him, they chose silence because they didn't want to add more chaos to an already explosive situation. But after everything that has happened, Baldoni says there have been so many painful things spoken about him, and his family that he felt the need to share a message. Blanda, his words immediately caught attention because this wasn't another courtroom statement or a legal filing. It was personal, it was emotional, and it raised one major question. Blanda, why did Justin Baldoni finally break his silence? Now, and what does this mean for the ongoing battle involving Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and the fallout from Miss It Ends With Us? Blenda, the story behind this Hollywood conflict is far more complicated than a single headline. Behind the viral moments are lawsuits, competing claims, public reactions, and a battle over reputation that has continued to unfold in front of millions of people. A blinder, and now after years of silence, Justin Baldoni is finally telling his side of the story. After months of avoiding the spotlight, Justin Baldoni and his wife Emily decided it was finally time to say something publicly. In a video shared online, the couple appeared together and opened up about why they had remained quiet throughout one of the most intense celebrity disputes in recent memory. Justin explained that they had considered speaking many times, but they always stopped themselves before making a public statement. According to Baldoni, it wasn't because they had nothing to say. In fact, he suggested the opposite, that there was a lot they wanted people to know. But every time they prepared to respond, they felt that adding their voices to the conversation might create even more noise around an already complicated situation. And for Justin and Emily, silence was a decision. Lane.
Not to. It just didn't feel like the right time. And we were talking about it and feeling into it and praying about it. And
this feels like the moment.
so here we are.
That being said, there is so much to say, and it makes it hard to speak. It makes it hard to figure out what is right for.
And we're not going to say it all
for
in
this
this
specific
video.
moment. Yeah, of course not. But what does
They said they wanted to allow the legal process to move forward instead of fighting the battle through interviews, social media posts, or public statements. While many celebrities immediately respond when controversy hits, Baldoni chose a different approach by stepping away from the public conversation. Viance Emily explained that there was so much to say about everything that had happened, but she also acknowledged that choosing the right moment mattered. Their message was less about attacking anyone and more about explaining what the last 2 years had been like for them personally. Justin repeatedly focused on one theme throughout the video: gratitude. Well, he thanked the people who stood by him during the difficult period, including friends, family, and supporters who continued to believe in him while the situation played out publicly. He described the experience as a moment where everything had been stripped away, leaving him to recognize the importance of love and support from the people closest to him. But behind the emotional message was a much bigger story. The reason their silence became so noticeable was because the controversy surrounding It Ends With Us had grown into a major Hollywood legal battle, one involving serious allegations, competing claims, and two very different versions of what happened behind the scenes. And to understand why Justin Baldoni's statement created such a reaction, we have to go back to the moment when everything started to fall apart. Yob. The controversy that would eventually become one of Hollywood's biggest behind the minus. Scenes battles began during the production of It Ends With Us, the 2024 drama film based on the best-selling novel by Colleen Hoover. Being at the center of the project were two major figures, Blake Lively, um, who starred as Lily Bloom, and Justin Baldoni, who not only played Ryle Kincaid in the film, but also directed the movie through his production company, Wayfarer Studios. La. When the film was released, it quickly became a major topic of conversation. But behind the success at the box office, tensions between the two stars reportedly began attracting attention. What? The situation escalated in late 2024 when Blake Lively filed a legal complaint accusing Baldoni of inappropriate behavior during production and claiming that he later participated in a campaign intended to damage her reputation. These were allegations made in legal filings, and Baldoni denied the claims, arguing that her version of events did not represent what actually happened. Bond. The accusations immediately created a media storm.
Feel important is that we can genuinely say that we are sitting here today feeling immense gratitude for so many things and so many people and so many things that have happened to us.
Gratitude has saved us.
It has. And I also feel that it's important as we say that, in that gratitude, it doesn't negate the injustice and the pain that we...
Instead of being remembered only as a movie about love, relationships, and difficult personal choices, It Ends With Us became connected to a public dispute involving two of its main stars. Banjer fans quickly began analyzing interviews, behind-the-scenes moments, and public appearances from the film's promotional tour. Clips from events were shared widely online, with viewers trying to understand whether there were signs of tension between the cast members. But, as the story spread across social media, separating confirmed information from speculation became increasingly difficult. Online discussions moved faster than the legal process itself. Supporters of both sides shared their opinions, while media outlets continued covering every new development. Planned for Justin Baldoni, the situation became a fight not only over legal claims, but also over his public image and career. For Blake Lively, the allegations became part of a much larger conversation about workplace conduct and accountability in Hollywood. The dispute was no longer just about what happened during the making of one movie. It had become a battle playing out in courtrooms, headlines, and public opinion. And soon the conflict would take an even bigger turn as lawsuits entered the picture, bringing in new names and raising the stakes for everyone involved.
We have also felt in the last few years. And we've had to wrestle with so many things and try to understand so many things, like how could something like this even happen? Let alone disguised as a fight for women. So much to unpack. And the truth is, reality is that there's been a lot of trauma for us to...
What started as a dispute between two Hollywood stars quickly transformed into a much larger legal battle. unbiased and troll. After Blake Lively's allegations became public, Justin Baldoni and his production company Wayfarer Studios pushed back with their own legal action. Baldoni filed a lawsuit that accused Lively and her husband Ryan Reynolds of damaging his reputation and interfering with his work on It Ends With Us. The lawsuit became another major headline, with both sides presenting completely different versions of events. Op-ed. Baldoni's legal team argued that he had been unfairly and claimed that Baldoni's legal team argued that he had been unfairly portrayed and claimed that the situation involved an effort to take control of the narrative surrounding the film. Lively's side rejected those claims and maintained that her actions were connected to protecting herself and addressing what she believed happened. And as the legal battle continued, the names involved made the story even more attention-grabbing. Ryan Reynolds, one of Hollywood's biggest stars, became part of the dispute because of allegations and claims made in the legal filings. File furs. But outside the courtroom, another battle was happening. Social media turned the case into a massive public debate. Every statement, document, and interview became something for fans and critics to analyze. Some people believed one side's explanation, while others argued that the full truth could only come from the legal process. LNDS. The situation showed how modern celebrity conflicts are no longer limited to courtrooms. Public opinion can become its own battlefield, with millions of people forming conclusions based on headlines, clips, and online discussions. And for everyone involved, the stakes were extremely high. A legal fight like this does not only affect finances, it can influence careers, professional relationships, and how audiences view celebrities for years to come. Odd, but just as the battle seemed to be reaching its most intense point, an unexpected development changed the direction of the entire case. The courtroom fight that had captured Hollywood's attention was about to take another dramatic turn. After spending years watching the controversy unfold from a distance, Justin Baldoni's first major public statement was not the aggressive response many expected. Bond. Instead, the message focused heavily on emotion, family, and the people who supported him during the most difficult period of his life. Lem sitting alongside his wife Emily. Baldoni explained that the last 2 years had been filled with moments that were incredibly painful. He acknowledged that there had been many things said publicly about him, but he and Emily chose not to respond immediately because they wanted to avoid adding more conflict. Tam Diaz. For Baldoni, the decision to remain silent was about patience. He said their goal was to allow the justice system to handle the situation rather than turning the dispute into a constant public argument. In his words, responding to every headline or accusation would only create more noise around an already complicated situation. Blind's Emily also opened up about the emotional impact of everything they had experienced. She suggested that there was much more they could say about the dispute, but the couple wanted to be thoughtful about when and how they shared their perspective. Instead of focusing only on the legal fight, she highlighted the support they received from friends, family, and people who stood by them. One of the strongest themes throughout the video was gratitude. Baldoni repeatedly thanked those who supported him and said their encouragement helped him. Through a period when his reputation and career were under intense public pressure. He also spoke about faith and how the experience changed his perspective on what truly matters when everything else feels uncertain. But while the message was emotional, it also carried a deeper meaning. After months of legal arguments and public debate, Baldoni was not just addressing a lawsuit, he was attempting to explain what the experience had been like behind the headlines. However, his statement came at a time when the legal battle had already taken several unexpected turns. And one of the biggest surprises came when the courtroom conflict that had dominated headlines began moving toward a completely different outcome.
To move through as a family, which also makes it hard to speak.
And we don't even know if this is the right thing to say, but we just know we need to share something. What I will say is that there have been so many painful things that have been spoken into existence,
Untruthful.
over the last couple years. And that created so much noise, and we didn't want to add to the noise. So we just wanted to let the justice system run its course.
And the truth and the facts have spoken for themselves. And here we are.
All right, so So how are we doing?
How are we
when people see
doing?
us on the street, how are you? We are healing. And if you've ever been through something traumatic, you know that healing isn't linear. It looks different every day. And we have had to rethink for ourselves what is real and what matters. And
It's this.
it's this.
The kids.
It's our family.
Yeah.
It's our friends. It's our community
Our
who have
faith.
been there for us. It's our faith. I think we're closer and more devoted and steadfast in our faith than we've ever been. Also, this has been on both of our hearts. There were so many of you
Yeah.
who, when we didn't have a voice, were our voice. You had a prayer at the very beginning, which was that you just prayed that people would have discernment. And so many of you had discernment, and you used your intuition, and you trusted that. And you have given your time to fight for us. And thank you does not feel like enough. But we're here, in large part, because of so many of you and all of our friends and family. And one thing that we've learned is that when God presses the reset button and everything else is stripped away, that's when love shows up.
And I did.
And we feel so loved.
And there is so much more to say. And
we'll say
that time will come. But for now, we are going to focus on continuing the healing and hanging out with our kiddos and enjoying life. And that's it.
ending this 4-minute and 48-second video.
Thank you.
See you soon.
While the legal battle played out through court filings and official statements, another fight was happening at the same time, one taking place online. Bond. From the moment the controversy became public, fans across social media began discussing every detail of the situation. Interviews, red carpet appearances, behind-the-scenes clips, and old comments from both Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively were examined by millions of viewers searching for clues. The internet quickly became divided. Some people expressed support for Blake Lively and said they believed her decision to speak out was important. Others defended Justin Baldoni, pointing to his statements and arguing that his side of the story deserved attention as well. But, as often happens with major celebrity controversies, online conversations became complicated. Alleged mini discussions moved beyond the actual legal documents and entered the world of speculation. Fans created theories, analyzed body, and debated moments from the film's promotional campaign, but those interpretations were not always confirmed by facts. Imelda, the situation highlighted a growing challenge in the age of social media. Public opinion can form long before a legal process reaches its conclusion. LMDA single headline can influence how millions of people view someone, and once a reputation changes online, rebuilding trust can become extreme. Banded for celebrities. These situations are no longer only about what happens inside a courtroom. They also involve the court of public opinion, where reactions can spread instantly and sometimes become more powerful than official statements. Justin Baldoni's decision to finally speak publicly showed just how much emotional weight the situation had carried for him and his family. Meanwhile, Blake Lively's actions throughout the legal process continued to receive attention from supporters and critics alike. With both sides having shared their positions, many people were left wondering what the future would look like for their careers, reputations, and professional relations. Because even after the lawsuits slow down, the public conversation around a Hollywood controversy can continue long after the courtroom doors close. And now the biggest question remains, what happens next for Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively, and the legacy of It Ends With Us? After years of headlines, lawsuits, and public debate, the biggest question now is what comes next for everyone involved. Plan for Justin Baldoni. The challenge is not only about the legal battle itself, it is also about rebuilding his public image after spending years connected to one of Hollywood's most controversial stories. His recent message with Emily showed that he wants people to see the personal side of what he experienced beyond the headlines and legal documents. And moving forward, his career will likely depend on how audiences respond to his future projects and whether the public conversation around the controversy begins to fade. Land for Blake Lively, the situation also represents a major turning point. She remains one of Hollywood's most recognizable actresses, but the legal battle placed her under intense attention and sparked conversations about celebrity disputes, accountability, and Bland, the end of the lawsuit does not necessarily mean everyone will agree on what happened. Um, Band. That is one of the most complicated parts of a public legal battle. Court decisions and settlements may resolve certain legal issues, but they do not always change how people feel. Some viewers will continue supporting one side, while others may remain uncertain about the full story. Biased Mind, the future of It Ends With Us and its stars will also be closely watched. Banned as the film became much more than a movie release. It became connected to a conversation about Hollywood power, reputation, and how quickly relationships behind a project can become the center of worldwide attention. Zach, perhaps the biggest lesson from this entire situation is how difficult it can be to separate entertainment from real-life conflict when celebrities are involved. Like, a movie that began as a story about relationships and personal struggles eventually became the subject of a very real dispute that played out in front of millions. And while Justin Baldoni has finally shared his thoughts after years of silence, the question many people are still asking is whether this marks the true end of the controversy, or simply the beginning of a new chapter by him. Because in Hollywood, the final headline is rarely the end of the story. After nearly 2 years of silence, Justin Baldoni finally decided to share his side of a controversy that changed the way many people viewed the It Ends With Us story. Bland. His message was not just about lawsuits or legal arguments. It was about the emotional impact of living through a public battle where every statement, every headline, and every reaction was being watched by millions of people. Blamed at the same time, the situation between Baldoni and Blake Lively shows how complicated celebrity disputes can become when personal conflicts, legal claims, and public opinion all collide. While the legal process has answered some questions, many people are still left with their own opinions about what happened behind the scenes. Supporters of both sides continue to debate the events, but the full impact of this controversy may only become clear with time. Lemdia for Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively, and everyone connected to It Ends With Us, this chapter may be closing, but the conversation surrounding it is unlikely to disappear overnight. Banned. Because in Hollywood, a controversy is not only remembered by what happens in court, Mandy. It is remembered by the stories people believe, the reputations that change, and the lessons left behind when the spotlight finally moves on.